Hello, I'm Jill Urbach, and today we're going to be talking about the Hallmark Channel Christmas movie, Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater. So of course, what did I have to wear? A Christmas sweater. I actually borrowed this one from my mother-in-law. Thanks, Sandy. If you like Hallmark Christmas movies, this is the channel for you. We're going to be talking about Hallmark Christmas movies all through the holiday season, so I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. We're going to be talking about 7 elements of the movie, starting with the meet cute, and then we'll be going through my Hallmark Christmas movie checklist, talking about my favorite secondary characters, the wardrobe in the movie, wardrobe, definitely things to be said, any nitpicks I might have, things that I think are noteworthy, and finally, my personal heartstring meter. Let's get started. First, let's talk about this title. Gotta be the longest title in the history of Hallmark movies, right? And I know what I'm talking about because I was on a show called Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, and I thought that was long. But Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater, first of all, it flows a little better than Tattooed Teen, blah, blah, blah. But apparently that's actually a saying too, so we'll go with it. Here's a brief synopsis of the movie. A single mom faces Christmas alone until a stranger crashes into her life and becomes an unexpected house guest. Okay. Our 2 romantic leads in this movie are Ashley Williams and Niall Mater. Ashley Williams plays the character of Maggie O'Donnell. She is a 2nd grade teacher who is a divorced mom of Ellen. Ellen, I don't know how old Ellen is, maybe 12? And this Christmas is Ellen's first Christmas away from her mom. Ellen's going to be spending it with her dad and stepmom. Every Christmas, Maggie volunteers at the military base nearby. She helps put on a Christmas party for the kids who have a parent serving overseas. So that's extra important for Maggie this year. Volunteering and helping others is how she copes with the loneliness that she anticipates with her daughter not being around at Christmas time. Niall Mater plays Lucas, and Lucas is a disillusioned architect who's on a sabbatical from his firm. He's gotten very successful in his career, but he has found the rewards on the end of that success to be things like longer working hours and not having time for family. In fact, he had a relationship that fell apart because of his long hours. His and Maggie's meet cute, I call it Meet Cute Part 1 and Meet Cute Part 2. Meet Cute Part 1 is when Maggie and her daughter Ellen are walking home from school, and they happen to be crossing the playground just when Lucas's nephew falls. I don't know if he falls off the swing or what, but Lucas is like, I was in charge and oh no, and isn't quite sure what to do. He obviously hasn't spent a whole lot of time with his nephew. And Maggie, of course, being a 2nd grade teacher, goes right over, hey kid, how are you doing? Blah, blah. I mean, she's very good with it. And the little kid who plays Joey is darling, and he's fine. And so there's a little moment, and that's it. But they walk away, and Maggie and her daughter are like, wow, did you see that guy's sweater? Because Lucas was wearing just the most horrendous Christmas sweater with like the elf where his own head is the elf head. And so he's immediately like, Christmas sweater dad, because of course they also assume that he's Joey's dad, right? So that's Meet Cute Part 1. Meet Cute Part 2 is the very next day. Maggie goes to the Christmas tree lot to pick up a tree that they're going to decorate for the Christmas party over at the base. And she has to get it herself because there's nobody around to help her, and there's other people in line ahead of her, and she has to get back. So she just picks up this big tree and is carrying it, and it's awkward and unwieldy. And Lucas happens to be jogging by, and she whacks him, and he smacks right into the tree, falls flat on his back, hits his head, breaks his wrist, and she feels horrible. And she immediately recognizes him as Christmas tree guy. And so from there, she's just feeling guilty, and her friend is also making her worry that he's gonna sue her. So the rest of the movie is her trying to kind of help him make amends because of the change in his plans, which she caused by hitting it with a tree. Side note, I also loved the scene where she's calling 911 because she's trying to explain what happens, and she finally just says, "Could you guys just come? I can explain it better in person." And I thought that was hilarious. And because of the broken wrist, Lucas has to cancel his skiing trip, and that was going to be one of his getaways because, of course, he's on the sabbatical from his architect firm. So Maggie has a guest studio in the back of her house that she was going to turn into her painting studio, but she offers it to Lucas so he has a place to stay because, of course, it's Christmas and everything's booked. So that's where things start. All right, let's go through the checklist. Now, if you have your own copy and you have filled it out, pull it out and let's compare notes. If you don't and you want your own copy, you can click the link in the description below, and you too can download your free copy of my unofficial Hallmark movie checklist. And this goes through elements that you find in a lot of Hallmark Christmas movies because they're actually encouraged. I developed this from guidelines that were on the Hallmark Publishing submission guidelines. Okay, snowy locale, check that box right away. Definitely a snowy locale. Next section is traditional Christmas activities. So let's go through these and see how many of these showed up in the movie. Picking out a Christmas tree, check, and that caused all the problems, didn't it? Decorating the tree, check. Baking Christmas cookies. I don't think we ever saw baking Christmas cookies. A sleigh or carriage ride, yes. Lucas took Maggie on a carriage ride, didn't he, when she kind of needed to get away because she was feeling frustrated and sad. Christmas shopping, check. We just saw a little bit of this. They didn't make a big deal about this, but we did see Maggie go into the antique bookstore. And did you know right away what she was going to be looking for there? Yeah, I did too. And I'm so glad she found it. You'll have to watch the movie if you don't know and find out. Wrapping presents, no. Opening presents, yes. Big points on these, right? The present that I won't tell you that Maggie got for Lucas, but what did he get for her at the very end? Okay, so there are spoilers in my reviews because you've either already watched it or you're a fan and you're gonna watch it anyway. So, and what did he give her for Christmas? Yes, tickets to... Again, I'm not going to tell you if you haven't watched it yet. And if you have, your heart is pounding like me, right? Going, oh, I want to go. Maybe after the pandemic's over, right? Playing in the snow, yes. They went all out. With the children at the base, they like broke into teams and had a full-on snowball fight war. Family dinner, no. Putting lights on the house, no. Enjoying a cozy hot drink, of course. Cooking or baking together, no. Ice skating, no. Making a gingerbread house. Yeah, that was a big part of the plot as well, because the kids at the base are making gingerbread houses, and then one of the kids wants to make a big gingerbread house, and then they get this idea, because Lucas is an architect, to go ahead and build one out of wood. So it's basically playhouse size, and after they reveal it at the party, then they can put it in the playground and the kids can have that all year long to play in. Community events. Not as many community events because so much of the community stuff took place on the base with the kids, but carol singing, tree lighting, attending a local Christmas market or craft fair, some sort of contest, attending church, toy drive. If there is stuff on here that you caught and I missed, go ahead and tell me in the comments below. Helping the needy, yes, because this whole party was helping these kids, right? Fundraiser. No, the party wasn't a fundraiser, it was just to help the kids, but it was a dressy holiday event at the end. Not overly formal because, you know, it was for kids, but it's always nice to have an excuse for our Hallmark stars to dress up. Acceptable but not needed. This again from the Hallmark Publishing Submission Guidelines website. They always say you can have these things, but it's not necessary. Moderate faith elements. The only thing in this one is they do reference at the beginning that Lucas had come into town for a nephew's baptism, nephew or niece's baptism. Hint of magic, no. Time travel, no. Hallmark always has great secondary characters in their movies, and Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater was no exception. First, Ellen O'Donnell, who was Maggie's daughter, she was played by Caden Magnuson, and she did a great job just being natural with that age. I thought the relationship between Maggie and her daughter was great. There was one point when Lucas has first come to stay with her and she's invited him to join them for dinner. And she says, I'm making Ellen's favorite. And Ellen's like, pizza? No. And she's like, macaroni and cheese? No. Whatever the other one was? No. and finally Maggie goes, I'm making enchiladas. And Ellie goes, oh yeah, I like those too. But it was just so cute. And as a mom, I totally relate because, you know, you say you're making your kid's favorite, but sometimes it changes, or sometimes it's not their top favorite, but it's still in there. And sometimes it's hard to keep track. The little actor who played Reed, Calix Fraser, he's Maggie's student at school, but then he's also at the military base. Cute kid, and he had the sweetest scenes with Lucas. And Lucas really stepped in as a support for this kid who was missing his father, who is overseas. Lucas's friend Cameron, played by Matthew McCall. This was just a buddy. They had a nice relationship that was pretty honest and seemed like they kind of were able to call each other on their stuff and challenge each other. And Cameron did this. I liked the scene that he had with Lucas in the cafe where they're talking about things, and it was just really natural and well done. I think when you can get good bonding scenes between male friends, that always plays nicely. Oh, and shout out to the actress who played Colonel Morrison. First of all, yay, the Colonel was a woman. Ellie Harvey played this role, and she just did a great job. She cracked me up when she first comes in and they want to talk to her because they have an idea for the party, but it's going to involve connecting with the kids' parents who are serving overseas. So they have to go to the Colonel, and she pulls up and she gets out of her chauffeured vehicle and says, walk with me, because obviously she's a busy woman, and so their only time with her is like in between meetings probably. But she says, walk with me, and then she proceeds to like jog up the massive steps of the building, and the three of them are all struggling to catch up, but it was so efficient. That just cracked me up. Let's talk about the wardrobe. You can't have a movie called Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater and not talk about the Christmas sweaters. And you know, when ugly Christmas sweaters became a thing several years ago, they kind of blew up, and I was a little bit like, those are just Christmas sweaters. Those are ugly Christmas sweaters, because I don't think they're all ugly. They may be obnoxious, like, you know, with sparkly cats, but it's not ugly. But anyway, you know, you get a whole room full of them, and wow, they're pretty ugly. Lucas ends up staying for his brother and sister-in-law's ugly Christmas sweater party, and Maggie joins too. And those scenes where the whole room is filled with adults in ugly Christmas sweaters, you start to realize why they get their name. Good job, Hallmark, for being really obnoxious with your costumes in that scene. Appropriately obnoxious. Maggie had this great coat. I loved her coat. It was this seafoam color, and it had this kind of shawl collar, and like just a little gold detail like on the edge of one corner of the collar and on the belt hooks. It was just an elegant coat. Shout out to the coat. And then the dress that Maggie wore to the Christmas party. It was completely appropriate for a Christmas party on a base with kids. It was flattering but modest. It was Christmas red, and it was pretty simple, but there was like a little detail on the sleeve, just like a little pin tuck. And again, the nice tailoring of it, that made it a good dress, even though it wasn't terribly exciting. Couple of nitpicks. Maggie had an amazing house, and she's a second grade teacher, and I used to teach school, and you don't make that much. So I can justify it by assuming that she got the house in the divorce settlement, and somehow that all worked out well, because I think her husband was in insurance, so maybe he had his own insurance firm and made a lot of money. So we're just gonna go with that. But it was an exceptionally nice house. And then the decor, we'll go with that. Just how much it was decorated for Christmas, and it's just Maggie and her daughter. That's a lot of work. And even if you go, wow, they're really passionate and love Christmas, I mean, it was like everything was decorated, and the guest house was already decorated, and the front porch with the extra like lamps and stuff. And remember, she's a school teacher, so she's been teaching school, and you're exhausted by December. You can't wait for break, right? I didn't have time to decorate my house quite that much, and I love Christmas. So that part wasn't realistic. That being said, it is a Hallmark movie, and we want to see our houses decorated, so, you know, we'll give you that one. Okay, noteworthy things for this movie. The dialogue was great. I already mentioned her 911 call. She refers at one point to being on her apology tour, which is all the things that she tries to do to make up to Lucas that she, you know, broke his wrist and ruined all his holiday plans. At the end, somebody comments on her moping, and Maggie says, "I'm not moping, I'm processing." So little lines like that, I just thought kept it real and were really enjoyable in the script. The tickets, again, I'm not going to say what they were, but if you've seen the movie, you know where those plane tickets were going to take them. I gotta shout those out. Who wouldn't love that as a present? Oh, and then when they were planning the gingerbread house and they first got the idea, and there's this scene of, and it kind of takes place over the course of several hours at the base with the kids, where you see Lucas getting excited and about architecture again and working with the kids, and they have ideas and it's all coming together, and that was just a really heartwarming scene for me. Also, I just thought it was great that we tied in the military aspect to this movie. It totally fit with the plot, it wasn't contrived at all, and yet as an audience member, it's good to be reminded of the sacrifices that people are making, and so I appreciated that. Okay, my heartstring meter. Now, my heartstring meter is not my overall rating for the movie. It is purely how, like, based on my physical response to, you know, sometimes you tear up or you get kind of like a little chill or burst of warmth in your heart. So this movie gets a heartstring meter of 3 out of 5. And that's not a bad rating. It just, I didn't have as many physical responses, you know, but the places that pulled on my heartstring the most were when we were watching the video calls from the kids' parents. So the children are sitting there in the middle of the Christmas party, and as a surprise, their parents call in, and not only do they give a little video message, but they've also made their own gingerbread house that they show for their kids. And so that was really heartwarming. And then the other thing was just, again, the relationship between Lucas and the little boy Reed was really heartwarming, and I enjoyed watching that. So in spite of the heartstring meter being only 3 out of 5, my overall rating for the movie is 4.5 out of 5. Who would have thought, right? A movie with that title, Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater, would be so great and rank so high on my rating. Again, I'm not quite ready to give anything 5 out of 5 stars yet, because we were early on in the countdown to Christmas. So 4 out of 5 is really good, and I highly recommend this movie. So, if you have already seen it, go watch it again. And if you haven't seen it, go enjoy it. In the meantime, hit that little thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.